Hey guys, it's underscoring here, and today we're gonna be. I'm actually not weird, but I'm gonna be showing you how to make a save file and load file system using GUIs. Let's do it. So to get started, we need to create the server script service script. That's a little confusing, but we'll rename it to save file system. Okay, we'll rename it to that, but we're not going to do anything into that yet. We're going to make folders, rename this folder save events, and then we're going to add another folder in here. If I had another screen, I would be able to do this really easily, but I have to remember everything, so it's kind of a little difficult. So let me actually open another file from one of my older things. Let's do yeah, it's not really a game, it's just a thumbnail I just made. I was trying to make something like this, but it didn't work. Alright, so save file and leaderstats. Let's grab what I did. Save file events. Okay, that's what I did. Okay. Grab all these, Control C. Okay, so I'm back from my other games that I made the save file system on, and we currently need to add in a whole bunch of these things. So I obviously spelled save wrong, so let me fix that. We're gonna paste into this, but I'll show you how it works. I'll explain it and stuff. So we're gonna have 5 different save files. What this means is that you'll have 5 different saves of your game. So if you always wanted to have a button that makes your game save it, and if you don't want autosave and you want people to be forced to save with the save button, then this is your video. I actually don't like automatic saves. I do sometimes, only on certain occasions. I want to make sure that I'm saving my game. Now this is not a finished save file system. You can add whatever the heck you want to it. This is just me explaining how it works and how I created it, and yeah. So these 5 save file folders are all going to be called save file 1 through 5. Inside them you have 2 remote events, one called save 1 and one called load 1. Okay, and then after you go through these 5 save file folders, you come across 5 find datas. This is for your GUI, so that way whenever you start the game, the game knows that you have a save file, and it automatically tells you which one you currently have a save file in. This is a basic understanding of how it works, and this is a basic script. Now, I don't know how to deal with exploits and all that, so there might be tons of ways to exploit this, but you never know. So this is mostly done on server. A lot of it is done through events. That way it's a lot of back and forth between server and client. If you didn't know what server and client means, server is what you see, client is what you do. So basically all the GUIs you see on the screen, let's say you have a button. Let me see, button. Let me do a screen GUI first. let's say you have a text button, this button right here. This is a local event. This is a local side of the game. This script is always going to be server side. That's why there's a local script and a server script in Roblox. And after you, and it helps. So after you go through your replicated storage and get all those in here, let me show you one more time, just in case you guys are slow. Don't worry, I'm a really slow typer. But you want to have 5 save file folders with save and load with corresponding number, and 5 find datas. Find data is for your GUIs, these are for your servers. Okay. Next, we're going to go into the save file system, and we're going to start with some of our events. I'll be right back just to get everything into the server. Alright, so I'm back, and I'll be pasting this in, but you can actually, no, I won't paste it in. I will actually just, based off of my memory, type it all in. Alright, so first we need to start with our, we need to start with our data store service. So let's start with local DSS, so that's short for data store service, equals game, lowercase game, get service, data store service. Right. So then we go local data store, or DS for short, equals DSS get data store. And it's going to be named whatever you want. Make sure you keep this name forever. If you do not, you will lose all players' data forever. If you can remember the name. If you remember the name of your data store, you will be able to save all players' data. Just make sure you keep that name forever. I'm going to call it Data1. You can call it whatever you want. Alright, so now we got to deal with our events. We have to show and define our events. So let's go back into our replicated storage over here. We're going to start with a bunch of locals. So local RS1, which stands for remote. I don't know why I did replicated storage 1 is what I called it, RS1, which equals game get service replicated storage dot save events wait for child no, oh wait, no, I don't need that, dot save file1 wait for child. This is going to be so RS1 through 5 is going to be load. So we're going to do load 1. Alright. Oh, my mouse. Let me fix something. 1 second. There you go. Alright, so now I can move my mouse. That's weird. Alright. We're going to copy this line. I'll actually get rid of that. We're going to copy this line, and then we're going to paste it 5 times, or 4 more times to make 5. We're going to change this to 2, 3, 4, 4, and then this one 5. Make this 5, this 4, this 3, and this 2. And same as over here, 3, 4, and 5. We're going to separate it now, and we're going to do all of this again, just all at once. And we're going to call it 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Alright. So in here, we have the same thing. We just, instead of saying load 1, we do save 1. Alright. So Control C, Control V, Control Z, Control V, Control V, Control V. And then we'll change it all back to 3, 4, and then 5. Alright. So we got load and save events. Now we need to do the find events. So it's just a rinse and repeat, basically. So if you didn't copy and paste those, do this, copy that whole thing, do that, and then change this to 11, this one to 12, this one to 13, this to 14, this to 15. So these are all of our events, and we're going to call, instead of saying save events, right here, we're going to do wait for child. Okay, so we're not dealing with our save stuff. We're doing it with our find stuff. So instead of find data 1, Control C this, Control V, Control Z, V, V, and V. Alright, and then this is 2, this is 3, this is 4, and this is 5. So we got all of our events now. All we need to do now is start defining our functions. So some of the functions we need to do, actually let's do some commenting. So this is our data source. Data stores services. Data store services, and this is our remote events. Let's actually do save every time. Save / load remote events. And then these right here are the find our find saves. Find save remote events. Find the dang it. I don't know what to say now. Find the player's saves using remote events. There you go. I don't know how to do comment. I've never done commenting in my life, but that's okay. Now, let's start the leader stats. Which means like the currency and stuff. Let me just make sure I'm doing this right. Okay. We're back. Wrong place. We're back. Alright, so since we're starting here, doing function on player join, or define the player here. Okay. We always define the player in a event that deals with players. Alright, so in this event we want to make sure that we define our currency and our anything that we want to save. This way, the way it can work. Now, what I recommend is if you want to separate your currency with, if you're dealing with a tycoon and you want to make a placement system, I would separate your currency from your items that you want to save in your inventory, or like store, like stuff you bought from this in-game store, and save your stuff in that inventory. You want to separate it from your currency. That way it gets a little doesn't get a little confusing to you. That way it doesn't confuse the system and crashes the game and stuff, and you can't find your saves for some strange leaderstats. So it'll help you if you do it this way. So we're going to start with the local leaderstat equals instance dot new folder, and leaderstat, actually let's just call it leaderstats, makes it better. Leaderstats. Leaderstats dot name equals, make sure it's in lowercase, leaderstats, not in uppercase, and leaderstats dot parent is equal to the player. Alright, now let's start with our currency. We're gonna have just a thing to purchase stuff with, and then we'll have like other stuff after that, but this is just like XP and stuff. Yeah, you wanted to do that, you can do that. So local cash equals instance dot new int value. Could be another value if you want, but it's the same thing. And then cash dot name equals cash. And actually, I'm gonna lowercase this to lowercase c. That way I don't get confused. So cash dot parent equals leaderstats. That way you'll be able to see how much money you have currently in the game. That way you know it's saving your stuff. So that's that. That's finished that part of this on player join stuff. Now we just need to find. Now we need to define the datas and our player user IDs. This is a little confusing, so I'm going to copy it and paste it, and I'm going to explain it. That way it makes sense to you guys. Alright, so DS1. I think that was my data store. Let me look. Yeah. So you don't have to call your data store up here DS. You can call it whatever you want. I called it DS1. But in this one I call it DS. But anyway, we made 5 locals, and we made 5 local variables, and we applied it to 5 IDs, unique IDs that deal with the different, say, files. So like player_1 user ID. It basically saves it with a string, and then it uses it calls it player_1, and it puts in the player's user ID, which is unique to that player, and applies it as the ID of that data store. So what you want is, if you want 5 different save files, you want to have 5 different user IDs. Although the player's user ID is the same, the string is different. That way it's a little defined. Alright, so then next, let me separate this. And separate this. Alright. So we got 5 datas, right? And we basically go through our data store and we get the user ID and sync it to certain things. So after we get all those, we put them into the events. So we're gonna call it 11 through 15 is what we want. Okay, so I had it correct. That's good. But okay, so when we start the game, we want to check if data 1, if there is anything in the save file 1, we want to send it to the player's GUI using an event. That way they can talk to each other. It's the only way you can talk to each other with servers and local scripts. So we have 5 of them, and it'll tell the GUI to change color and do some change the text or something like that. And it'll basically just tell you that that's the one you have to go to, and that's one that you remember is the one you want to play at. Now I think you have in this one currently you have to leave the game and then start over again. Not start over again. Leave the game, come back in, and choose which one you want. You can't just I mean, never mind. You can. Never mind. I forgot about one of my features. Never mind. All right. So this is our get on player join function. This is finished. The next part, it deals with creating a table that takes your data and then puts it into a into a table. That way it can be read by the server. So I'm gonna copy this. That way it's a little complicated. So basically, local function create table. Alright, you type that in, and then type in a variable player stats and make it an undefined dictionary. Or yeah, this is a dictionary right here, or a table if you want to call it that. And then we make a for loop, and we basically look in our stat, which is our v. Like if you want to say it's I comma v in pairs, we look in our leader stats in our player. We get whatever's in it. We get all the children that are children of leader stats. So like all the values like cash. Okay. What we do after that is we take the player stats. We put in the stat name. And then we equal to this stats value. And we return it because it's a local function. Alright, and then next is we call our own player join whenever the player is added to the game. So basically typing game.players.player added :connect on player join, and it'll basically tell the server that whenever the player is added, call this function every single time the player is added to the game at the start, not every time the player respawns and stuff like that. Okay. Next, we want to start our events like save and like load and stuff like that. So I think RS1 in this one was load. They're a little wonky in my original, and I'm trying to like improve on it in the order and the way it goes. But basically, this right here is what you want, and this is copied over and over again. But you basically want. Alright, so in the first one, obviously, it says RS1, which is our correct one, which is our load. This is our load function right here. So when we start this, we want to say rs1, which is our event, and then on that server event, connect a function to the player, and then we find our user ID. It has to be the same exact order as the one you put up here. So copy this if you want to and paste it into here. It's exactly the same. You just don't say user ID 1. You just say player.user ID or player user ID, sorry. After that, want to call local data. Alright. And then we want to get, it's basically the same thing as this up here, just it's just meant for finding your data and then applying it to values. So if there is data, if it finds anything, we want to take our we'll delete all this, but we want to take our cache value, whatever it is, it's probably going to equal 0. You want to equal it to whatever data is based off of its name that was applied to it whenever we did this. So this is the data, and this is the name. It's the exact same way if we can apply those two things. Then we say it was loaded in the output, and then if it didn't find it, we basically set base values of our thing. So let's say 100 whenever 100 cash you get at the start of the game. This is what it will say. This is what it'll show every single time you start a new save file, or if you restart a new save file. If that makes sense. Now I haven't implemented the ability to delete a save file and then start over on that save file. I haven't implemented that yet. I will eventually once I figure that out. But for now, this is what we'll have. I'll make another video dealing with whatever's added to it. And then after that, we make the save event. Okay. So this is what would happen on. It's not RS2. It's called RS6, but my original one was called RS2. So let's do 6. Obviously, we need that to be the same. We access our create table function in our save, and it creates that table in the player stats. Okay, and then we separate, and then we have to always do this. We have to make it if variable in the function. Okay, so that didn't make sense, whatever I just said, but when you want to save something to your data store, you have to make sure if there's any errors, it'll still save. That's what local success comma error equals pcall function. Pcall makes sure that if there's an error, it still saves and nothing else is affected by it. So we access our user ID. We set the async, which means we save to the player's user ID and the player's stats. We save those stats and save it to that user ID. We print saved. If there wasn't success, then we say could not save data, which means that there's something wrong with your script. If it keeps on saying that, that means there's something wrong with your script. Or you have saved too much and that you can't save again until a certain amount of time. Alright? So basically, what you could do is you could take your load function. Why is it not working? Alright. Take your load function, copy it, duplicate it 4 more times. Alright. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay? This is obviously called RS5. This is called RS4. This is 3. And this is 2. So that if you want to change it, you have to always put in these values. So make sure your user ID is different for each one. That way it knows it and that can identify your save. Okay? That's all of those. I'm going to separate it. And we're going to make a comment saying this is loading. Or this is loading players saved. Previous. Data. This is this part is loading this previous saved data, and then this part is saving the player's current data for use at another time. Okay. Okay. So we're going to copy these, and now I'm going to do it 4 more times. Control V, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Alright, I'm going to put spaces in here because this is going to be a little bit confusing. Alright. This is going to be called RS. This one's going to be 7. This one's going to be 8. This is going to be 9. This is going to be 10. Okay. But we don't apply those same numbers to our thing. We do, this is 2 for RS7. This is 3 for RS8. This is 4 for RS9. And this is 5 for RS10. If this makes sense to you, great. If it doesn't make sense to you, just keep on watching the video over and over again until you can actually figure it out based off of what is being shown in your script. And I can basically debug a script based off of what it says. Sometimes it'd be like misspelled. Most of the time it's misspelled for me, but a lot of times it's not. I think that's it. I think it just saves all the way up to 10, yeah. Alright, so this one's done. Let me go out of here. That was my save event, right? Now we gotta do the GUI. And what I'll do actually is I'm gonna stop this video and I'm going to do another video based off the GUI. And we're gonna tackle any other bugs that deal with this and make sure it all works together seamlessly. Thank you for watching. Come back to the next video to learn for part 2.